2-sentence each summary of what it is your companies do and what they do that no one else does, which might sound, difficult, but we're talking about things like social media, 140 characters. Go on.
Oh, that's
Jeanette, you're up first.
I'm Jeanette Gibson. I'm at Hootsuite, and we're a social media relationship platform. So we take all of your awesome social media channels and put it into one secure dashboard.
Perfect.
I'm Rahul Sachdev. We at Get Satisfaction connect companies with their customers online to create a community. We have, and our differentiator is easy to use, easy to deploy, get you up and running quickly and give you value.
Mm-hmm. So I get the impression that you guys are both here to convince me and the audience that using social media as a company is a great way to grow your business, to get new customers and to build loyalty, and customers keep coming back for more. But I spend a lot of time on social media, and I think if I was a company I'd be a little bit cautious. I'm going to start with these Q&A sessions that people seem to really like to run on Twitter, where they put an executive or someone important up in front of the crowds of Twitter who have no qualms about asking some very difficult and sometimes kind of rude questions. So I thought I would start by reading a couple of these. So I thought we'd start with a slightly polite one compared to some of them. Robin Thicke, the singer, last month held I think it was Ask Thicke, which again doesn't work very well. And he was asked, what is it like being the human personification of a midlife crisis? And that was definitely one of the more polite ones. There were so many I couldn't read out. JP Morgan held one earlier this year, which they ended up having to cancel, I think. And one of the questions they were asked was, how do you decide who to foreclose upon, dots or a computer program? Which I can imagine if I was trying to build great customer relationships, I'd be a little bit anxious about. And even Twitter tried this last week, and they put their CEO, Dick Costello, up for Ask Costello. And he was mainly asked about the kind of harassment people can get on the platform. So there was a question, how come African Americans are one of your top user bases, but you don't do anything about rampant racist abuse? These are difficult questions, and maybe not ones that companies really want to be having right there out in public. I mean, why do they keep doing this to them?
I think this is the challenge and opportunity, I would say, that brands are exposed in a way they never have before. I guess I would say that people are asking those questions anyway, whether it's on Twitter, they're asking it when talking to a reporter, or when talking to customers. So I think brands aren't powerless, though. My view is that they need to understand how to educate their employees to be able to respond, much like customer service reps did, when that industry really grew. So I think it really behooves brands to understand that that's going to happen anyway, so prepare for it and actually learn from it and be able to use that as a platform to kind of talk more about the industry. What do you think?
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, Hannah, I'd ask you a question back. Imagine
it's not part of the deal.
Remember when phone lines were launched and customers can actually call companies? What did they have to worry about then? Customers calling up, irate customers saying all kinds of nasty things to them.
But that's private, right? The customer, your other customers can't see that there's someone moaning at your door.
No, I understand. And by the way, same thing happened with email. So the reality is that social media technologies are here to stay. And as you said, Jeanette, it's an opportunity as well as a challenge. And I totally agree with what Jeanette said. I would add a couple of other things. Well, first, have a plan to deal with it. Because it will happen. And also differentiate between a major issue where you may need a war room to sort of rally the organization versus maybe an irate customer where you could, instead of shutting the conversation down, you actually deal with it. You train your staff to how to handle that, and maybe leverage other happier customers to actually join in and neutralize that.
So how do you do that? How do you leverage a happier customer? Do you go on, say nice things about us?
Well, I would say I've seen that happen to a lot of brands who get hacked or attacked on Facebook, for example. If a brand is active on Facebook and they have a fan base and they're showing that they care about their audience and they're sharing information, when you do have people that are irate, that have issues, like if it's a pet food company, PETA or someone might be coming in saying something negative, often you'll see the fans come in to support the brand. I think that's the ultimate situation that a brand would want, is have enough people that will come to your defense so you're not the only one. So I think that is the power of social media, is that there's always going to be people that are going to come that way, but if you can kind of rally the broader audience to support you.
So how do you organize this within a company? Because we knew how to do customer service reps. We stuck them in a call center or whatever. Do you need to be putting up your executives like these companies are trying? Should there be one person that does social media? Should there be one person in each team that does social media?
Yeah, I think we're definitely seeing this decentralized approach now where multiple departments have to be involved in social media, and there actually needs to be one strategy. So whether the strategy sits in communications or marketing, you need to have employees in customer service, in research and development, in engineering, in marketing, engaging in social. So this is the biggest opportunity, is training people across departments, because you need those many voices to be able to really be transparent and respond.
Can either of you think of any examples of where a company has kind of faced a bit of a sticky situation? I say Twitter because Twitter is the most public and maybe the most ranty. Facebook, it might be happening, but you might not be able to tell us easily. But let's say on social media, or even on its own website or whatever, and dealt with it really well.
Well, I'll give the example that happened. It was a few months ago when AT&T and T-Mobile got on Twitter, where a customer tweeted that they're having problems, and then all of a sudden the president of AT&T got on and they secured a new customer. So here you have, not every CEO needs to be on, but if they are listening, there is the opportunity to see conversations and then show that you're listening and responding to customers, and actually had that customer say, wow, you've got a new customer. They switched from AT&T to T-Mobile. So you're seeing the opportunity where serendipity does rule, and being able to kind of jump in on that.
Yeah, and I would add, I think this is where a community can really help. If you've nurtured over time a community of your customers and fan base, that's the point where they can actually come in and help you to actually provide a perspective. And that creates authenticity, because it's not coming just from you as a brand, but actually from your customers.
And how do you create a community? I mean, it's difficult enough to create a real-life community, let alone, one where people keep coming back and it's a brand's website.
Right. I would say you've got to think about what's in it for them. It can't just be what the brand wants. It's how are you going to help people that will be coming to your site. I mean, one thing we've done at Hootsuite, that's part of the growth of the company, is creating an ambassador program. So we rally people that are social media users to say, be an ambassador. If you're part of a social media club, you can host a Hoot Up, and we'll send you stickers and swag and promote your blog posts. And people are more than willing to share their expertise. So there's got to be a win-win, because our ambassadors get the win by getting additional visibility, being able to host events, go through our certification program. So we really try and focus on, how do we make sure they get...
What's the certification program do?
This is an education program called Hootsuite University, and so they get certified on not only what is the product, but also how to use social media, what's the tone of voice, how to leverage Pinterest for business. So they get all this training actually from the people at Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest. So we have this online program, and so our ambassadors get to take that for free. Normally that's like $21 a month. So we definitely want to make sure we can give back.
Yeah, I would say first have a goal and a context. What are you trying to create a community for? Our customers use communities for support, for marketing, for ideation. So you want to be clear about the objective. And then I would say 3 things. A good community has users, ideally not just your employees, but your customers. A good community has content, ideally not just generated by you, because that's a website. One that's been generated by your users, and that's more authentic and trustworthy. And a good community has engagement. We think of ourselves as this ultimate matching system between users and the information and other people, the users that they're looking for. If you do that well, that's a good community, around a purpose and a context.
Yeah. Okay, let's try and be a little bit more positive. Good things do happen in social media. So one of the things that we see a lot of now is a lot of what they call rich media, so pictures and videos and stuff, just flooding our sites. So Twitter and Facebook have both become a lot more pictorial, and then there are the new ones coming up, the Pinterest, as you mentioned, Instagram. How do you make the most of that? Is it better to do a picture? Is it always better to do a picture than words?
I think visual is predominant major growth we're seeing when you look at Pinterest and the visual nature of the web. So I think it definitely behooves brands to make sure you have that content strategy. People are more likely to share content than they are text. But I'll give you an example of how brands can, I think, build more trust with their audiences by sharing pictures to show transparency. Well, you know them well, Transport for London. They run all the trains and buses in London, and they do constant communication.
I'm not sure if they have a great relationship with me, but yeah, sure.
But they use Twitter to communicate everything about outages and the train schedule and everything. So they had a major outage, and they could see a lot of negative conversations on Twitter, and the social media manager went down into the kind of command center because there was a flood, and there was all this mud that literally stopped the trains in their command center, and she took a picture of it and posted it saying, this is what we're dealing with, it's going to take 4 hours. And you could see people saying, gosh, thank you for sharing that, because they could know that, well, it's not just saying, okay, yeah, it'll be 4 hours, 8 hours, but they really were working hard. So I think that's an example where it helps with transparency to build trust, to show, we really care and we're really working for this.
Yeah, I can see that. That would change my opinion a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'll share a personal story. Before coming to Get Satisfaction, I was at LinkedIn, where I owned the content sharing piece, and actually built out, after much internal debate, the rich media sharing capabilities for photos.
Internal debate because people didn't want to. They thought LinkedIn is for business, it's nothing to do with pictures.
It wasn't about that. It was really about being clear about what the objective of, what the purpose behind those were. We didn't want LinkedIn to become, just a photo sharing site. There were sites there, but you could totally imagine, pictures and other rich media as a great way for professionals to communicate about their brand identity. So, pictures do speak 1,000 words, and within a community, similarly, if there is a context around providing support or an idea, pictures and other rich media is a great way to actually share that information, how product works, maybe what something might be broken, etc. So, yeah, if used correctly in the right context, and that's partly determined by design, product design, but also training users, coaching them on how to do that. I think it works really, really well.
Yeah, and people love to share engaging, visually appealing content. I like the saying that people don't share because they like your brand, they share because they like their friends. And they want their friends to see great content, so make it interesting and visually appealing.
And what about these kind of really new kids on the block? Have you seen or heard of any great uses of Snapchat or even Yo? And for those of you who don't know what Yo is an app which made the rounds about a month ago where you could basically just Yo people. You can't message them, you can't do anything, but within a week people were like, this is going to be great for marketing. Any ideas?
Well, we were talking about Yo because my CEO was showing me Yo just the other week, and I thought that's really interesting. But I think more Pinterest and Instagram. That'll be a new app. I think Instagram is coming such a long way in how people are sharing photos that we're going to be seeing a lot more of that, and more mobile first. Everything is on the mobile phone, so it's really interesting to see how companies are having to take their digital strategy and think, how do I make that appear on that small screen first? So that's a lot of the shift that we're seeing, is that kind of mobile first thinking.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. And what about 5 years down the line, people have been complaining that socialism, all that for years. People now have kind of maybe, apart from me and my Ask Twitter things, got their heads around the fact that this is a way that you can communicate. It's not something that many companies feel they can avoid anymore. 5 years down the line, will social and communities have replaced all other customer communication, or what will the balance be?
I think it's just going to become even more natural part of our daily communication, where now we have a sharing economy. Everyone's very comfortable with calling Uber or going on Airbnb. So I think how people engage personally is going to be even more, I think, relatable, that we will all check each other out on LinkedIn and Twitter as we're meeting them. So I think it's going to become even more natural and integrated. That's what I'm seeing in business as well, is the integration of our marketing automation, our CRM with social. So I think it won't be this niche, unusual thing. It will be just like our telephone.
Even sort of business to business,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Part of it, I think, with business to business, because the sales cycle is so long in business to business, the relationship is so important. So what Rahul is saying about the communities, that's even more important in business to business, that there's that authentic relationship, and you're not just trying contests or gadgets. It's a real relationship. So I think people will follow people they know are really caring about their brand.
Yeah, I agree. It's another communication channel. That doesn't mean the other communication channels go away. It's just serving a different purpose, and you have to be clear about under what context. Again, it's really important. So, you know, we did a survey recently about customers say, how do you use our product? So as an example, 84% of the folks we interviewed are using communities for support. Roughly 70, plus or minus, are using it for marketing. About 50-odd% are using it for cross-selling and upselling. So ultimately, to me, it's about, yes, it is a communication channel. It's going to be across the fabric of the company. But what's in it for the company, and what's in it for the customer? As long as you do a good job of matching them and solving those needs, yeah, it's going to be here to stay. But it needs to be seamless, not as a silo, standalone in itself. And that has an organizational aspect to it, like Jeanette said earlier. It needs to be company-wide.
Excellent. Well, we're almost out of time, but we're here to talk about, you know, forming emotional bonds with our customers on social media. So I think there's one more quite important question, which is emoticons, yes or no?
I love emoticons, but I don't necessarily use them in like my communication with Rahul. But
no, what about as a business? Is it, you know, a complete no-no to put
I think business people are people too, so we're all humans. So making that human-to-human connection, I think that is absolutely acceptable and should be encouraged.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
Encouraged? You're not going to put any level of doubt on that?
Why not? Any new way of communicating, yeah, why not?
Okay.
It'll be in Webster Dictionary very soon.